You're in a good place now. You are listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Hi, and welcome back live to the Ashley Burgess podcast. I was thinking the other day about certain questions about relationships, and I have some questions for you. Do you feel like you're seeing your relationship clearly or your relationships clearly? Are you seeing the duty that you have in these relationships clearly? Are you taking on more than you need to in your relationships? Are you codependent with somebody in a relationship? Or are you more self-centered in a relationship? I've found that there's only a few things that can safeguard us from the programming that we got when we were young. Growing up in the family dynamic, as many of you know, you were taught certain things by watching mom and dad. Maybe dad was a complete covert narcissist and behind closed doors, a very mean, brutal person. And mom was the doting codependent, the doormat that constantly was there for dad no matter what happened. And you watch the two tango in this dance. And many of you started taking on those codependent tendencies because you were trying to get dad's attention, wanting him to love you, wanting him to be there for you, wanting him to be there at the games or the football games or the basketball games or the choir concerts, whatever it was that you were doing. And so you placated the narcissist. And in that effort and placating, you were trying to get the attention and to get that love and support that you've always wanted from a parent. Now, the tables could have been completely turned. Maybe dad was a complete codependent, trying to take care of your mom, who was a raging alcoholic as well as a narcissist, or somebody with borderline personality disorder, or a combination of borderline and narcissism. And so you watched as that played out, and you became your father, becoming more and more codependent, trying to be there, trying to help, and thinking, oh, my value is not within, my value is outside of me. My value is to help others, and not seeing the value that you have within. It's also interesting, too, some people, not my normal avatar as far as a client, but some people become very self-centered or even acquire some of those narcissistic tendencies watching mom or dad. And that can be a defense mechanism, or it can just be following the leader. And so that can be a very interesting combination. Usually, however, if you're listening to my podcast or you're a current client, been a client, or watch my YouTube videos, usually you are the giver. You're the person giving and giving and giving to someone that's constantly taking and taking advantage of you. And you're in that relationship and you wish so badly to change it or to get out of it, but you just don't know how. How do I move past this? How do I get out of this situation? How do I get out from underneath their foot? How do I move forward? And I know that many of you, if you're in a relationship like this right now, you've been in multiple relationships like this in the past. This is a cycle pattern of yours that you have dealt with over and over again after watching mom and dad in their situation. And so in today's podcast, I want to actually change that. I want to put some thought out there as far as how do we get past that? How do we move forward? You know, what do we do? And what are some real actionables? What are some real actionables that we can actually get rid of, or we can change, or we can do? What are some actionables that we can do right now to make our life better? And these are things that I want you to think about. And I was thinking about one of the big ones, the major one. And this is the major enchilada dinner, supreme dinner of all, the big kahuna, you might say. And I believe that that is getting sober, having sobriety, getting to the point where you're not using alcohol and drugs. So in order to really see things clearly, we cannot be under the influence of alcohol or drugs. In order to see things clearly, we have to have sobriety. We have to have clarity, right? And I feel that getting sober is the true key to seeing your relationships with clarity and understanding. And I know that some of you are saying, wow, okay, yeah, it sounds great, and I think that's a great idea, but how do I get there? Because my relationship makes me want to drink, or my relationship, makes me want to smoke weed, or whatever that looks like. And I understand that. It's a cycle, right? It's like you deal with them, You come home, you don't like being at home. This person is not nice to you, or they're constantly finding fault in you, or they're constantly using forever ammunition where they're bringing up stuff from 10 years ago that happened that wasn't that big of a deal then, but they're painting the picture of how horrible you are as a person on a constant basis. And I understand that. And so you go to the bottle of wine, or you go to the bottle of scotch, or you reach for, the marijuana or whatever it is. And I understand that. But see, the drug or the alcohol is actually what's keeping you in this cycle. Okay. It's like the Band-Aid that you're putting on. It's the Band-Aid that you're putting on the wound that needs to heal without being covered up with a Band-Aid, right? I mean, this needs to heal. And the only way to heal it is to actually look at things head on, honestly. When you see the situation honestly, head on. And what I mean by that is, sans alcohol, sans drugs. And I know that this is not like an immediate for many of you. You might say, wow, okay, I'm just going to stop drinking altogether after all the years of drinking to cope. Or I'm going to stop smoking weed, or I'm going to stop doing cocaine, or I'm going to stop doing this or that because of all the years of trying to cope. Okay, and I understand that. But we have to get to a point of titrating down and eventually getting sober. I found that, remember, if you're drinking and you're basically suppressing your feelings, you're drinking and, you're getting tipsy or whatever, and you keep reliving the good days, the good times, right? You keep putting that back into your mind when that's the least that you need you don't want that in your mind. You don't need that in your mind. You don't need that distraction when you're looking at toxicity in your life. You need to be like, hey, okay, where do I want to be at with clarity? What do I want to get in my life? What kind of person do I actually want around me? What kind of people do I want around me? And that's a really interesting question. What kind of people do I want around me? Because I think that that's so important. What kind of person do I want in a relationship? What kind of person do I want to see every day when I get home? And I'm not talking about looks. I'm talking about personality, values, intentions, right? What do you want? And then also, what do you want within yourself? Because I know that, if you're suppressing your feelings, whether it's alcohol, drugs, what have you, or getting dopamine highs, trying to like overcome the negativity in your life, this isn't going to help you. And so what I'm asking you to do is really look at whatever it is that you're doing and realize this is actual crutch. It's an actual crutch designed to keep you in the matrix of the toxicity in your life. It's not helping you. If anything, it's actually helping you to stay stuck, to stay in a negative situation, and to keep allowing toxicity and people with toxic intentions in your life. Okay? And I really want you to think about that, because if you're drinking a lot, and you know what I'm saying, before you get home, maybe you're at work, and you're able to see and process what's really happening in your life. If your marriage is bringing you pain and suffering, if you're in a marriage or in a relationship or living with somebody that's a covert narcissist, a malignant narcissist, somebody with sociopathic tendencies, somebody with extreme borderline personality disorder connected with narcissism. I mean, if you're dealing with that on a daily basis and you're coming from a very codependent or dependent stance, the alcohol and the drugs are the thing that's holding you there. If you can start titrating down and also realizing, and I think this is a big caveat, the reason why you're drinking or doing so many drugs, besides the fact that you've become somewhat addicted to it, is also because you're trying to basically keep yourself in this situation. You're trying not to rock the boat, even though everything that you need to do is to rock the boat. Everything that you need to do is to see things clearly, to see things with clarity, right? The more that you are aware, the more you can see their intentions, the more you can stop lying to yourself, and you will not continue to fall for future faking. One of the things that I've realized here with many people, especially when they're codependent, is somebody will sell them a bill of goods. Somebody will say, hey, this is what I'm going to be. This is who I am. This is what I want, whatever. And I'm going to do all this. And the codependent or the dependent goes, you know what? This is amazing. Okay, this person's going to do all these things, but that person never steps up to the plate to do anything. And so as the years go by and nothing's coming to fruition, and you're still holding on to that future faking, you're still holding on to that future that's possible, that this person has painted for you. And it's never coming to fruition. And you keep thinking, well, maybe one day, you take another glass of wine, you smoke another, you smoke another bowl of weed, you take another hit of cocaine, whatever it is, and you go, okay, well, you know what? It's gonna happen. And you go back into that fairy tale. You go back into the beginning of that relationship, back into those great days, back into the salad days, as they say, back into the love bombing days, right? Because you start reliving that, and you start going back into that, believing the future faking, holding on to the false hope, right? Because the alcohol and the drugs make us hold on to the false hope because they're all lies. Drugs and alcohol are all lies because they don't keep you feeling that way, right? If you drink too much alcohol, you wake up with extreme anxiety, right? Extreme anxiety, horrible anxiety. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I feel so horrible. I can't think straight. You go through the entire workday just trying to get it together, right? Just trying to get it together. And it's not until like late afternoon where you're finally getting it together. You're finally seeing through all this stuff. And then you go back home and you deal with stuff and you start drinking again, right? You overdrink and you go through the anxiety and you're just trying to clear your head. You're just dealing with brain fog all day long. Now, if it's drugs, right? If it's cocaine, you're chasing that high. If I just take, if I just do another bump of cocaine, another line of cocaine, maybe this will get better. Maybe I can just calm myself. A little bit more dopamine. Maybe more dopamine will help me because then I don't have to deal with this. Or if I'm smoking weed, how much weed do you have to smoke to let this go? This is insanity, right? And I need you to start seeing the truth. Because what's happened here is instead of speaking your truth, instead of standing up for yourself, instead of calling this person out for who they are, instead of saying, hey, this is who you are, this is what you're doing, I have accepted this reality. I'm not going to accept this anymore. This is no longer part of my protocol. I don't need you and I don't need your lies. And the thing about it is that I realize that most people that are drinking themselves, to death, basically doing drugs, doing these things, you're in a relationship where you're super unhappy and you're just trying to medicate yourself. You're just trying to calm yourself down. And I want to give you a picture of it. Like you remember on Golden Girls where, she was like, picture this, 1935, okay, I want you to picture this. If you're in a relationship right now and you're 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years in, it's not going to get any better. If you're self-medicating, I have clients that have come to me that have been doing this for 35 years and we've made massive changes in their life. But guess what? We had to pull them out of the bottle, pull them out of the situation because the only thing that they were doing now was complete self-medicating in order to deal with the tyrant that was in their home. Okay? And you become this doormat, right? You become this doormat for this person's toxicity, for their BS, for their lies, for everything. And when you start getting sober, and I'm not saying you have to cut out everything right now, but I'm saying, hey, if you're drinking a bottle of wine, many of you might be 2 or 3. If you're drinking 2 bottles of wine, you need to cut down to 1, okay? And you need to start titrating down. Some of you just need to go sober, cold sobriety, because it's the only way. But I need you to think about what this is that the alcohol and the drugs are holding you into the toxicity. Once you break out of that prison, and it is a prison, by the way. It is a prison. The cocaine might feel great right this second. It might help to mellow you out. It's a prison that's holding you back from who you are, okay? And only reason why you keep doing so much is to numb yourself. Numb yourself of what's going on. Because if you were in a really healthy environment and in a good relationship, would you want to numb yourself? Would you want to drink yourself to death? Would you want to sneak alcohol? Would you want to sneak cocaine? Would you want to be smoking 3 joints in the garage before coming in and seeing your spouse? Would you want to binge drink and drink 12, 14 beers a night? It doesn't make sense. You see what I'm saying? So step back and look at the model that you've created for your life. Is this what you deserve? And this is a big question I want everybody that's listening right now. If you're dealing with this right now, do you deserve this? Is this the life that you deserve? Do you deserve to be in pain and suffering? Do you deserve to be upset and unhappy? Do you deserve to go through this on a daily basis? I don't think so. And I think you would have to agree with me that you are a good person, and we all have our issues that we have to deal with. And that's what I do in my coaching is I help people get better. I help people find their value. I help you find your value and get away from the situation, be able to see it for what it is and move forward in your life. This is so critical and crucial for you to have that sense of peace and resolve in your life instead of resentment and regret. Because the longer you keep holding on to the toxic relationship that's not working, the longer you're involved in something that's not working, okay? The longer you're involved in something that's not working, the more years you take up in a relationship that's just sucking you dry. The more years that you get stuck in that relationship, the less time you have on the back end to actually live your life that you want. Think about it. It's not, I hate to say it. There is a time limit, right? And so there has to be a time where you say, okay, hey, this isn't working. I'm going to stop barking up this tree over and over again with something that wasn't working ever, but I just don't want to be alone. I'm so scared of being alone. I've been beaten down so much about my self-esteem is so low, but let me have another drink. Let me have another line. Let me do another, let me get another, hit off that pipe. I need whatever this is. Remember, all of this is just a funnel into keeping you down and out. As long as the alcohol and the drugs can keep you in the toxic situation, it's working. It's working. And guess what? The drugs and alcohol aren't working for you. They haven't worked for you ever. Even when you thought they were working for you, they weren't working for you. It might have been fun maybe in your early 20s or mid 20s. It's not fun anymore. Okay? It's time to wake up. It's time to stop being allowed to be delusional. So remember, alcohol and drugs, and they call it spirits, right? They call liquor spirits. There's a reason for that. We won't go into a big diatribe of that today, but there's a big reason for that. It allows all kinds of stuff into your body because there's nobody watching it. There's nobody, there's nobody at the gate. There's nobody patrolling anything, right? There's nobody patrolling your subconscious. You're just dealing with all this drama and hassle. You go home and you're having fights and arguments and everybody's drinking. And I remember I had a client for a while, they first came to me, and every single night that, her husband and her would get so drunk, and she would pack her bags every night and grab the kid and do all this stuff and just insanity. And I was like, first of all, the child is going to have PTSD. The child's going to have a lot of trauma from this. Second of all, this isn't working for anybody. Every time you get drunk every night, you drink 2 bottles, he drinks 2 bottles, y'all are smoking weed, all this is happening. This is ruining both of your lives. Both of your lives are being ruined. And your child, unfortunately, his life, he will have to be in therapy and coaching for a very long time to overcome everything that he's heard and seen. And so what I'm saying to you is if you're in this situation right now, somebody's got to end it. Somebody's got to end this because this is just like a speed to death. It's just like, what are we doing here? We're just like speeding our life through this process. We're not happy. We're not feeling good. We continue to drink and try to escalate the situation or calm the situation down, and that's not working. The other side of the coin is if you're in a relationship with somebody that is an addict and is also narcissistic and all these things, what are you doing? I understand that you are scared of being alone. I understand that fear, but when a fear of being alone, overcomes the concept of your own safety, right? At that point, you really got to look at your own mental state and say, why am I in so much fear of doing this on my own when I definitely can? When I definitely have the ability, I can do it. I'm not in a government where I can't get divorced. I can actually get divorced. I'm in a place that I can get divorced. I'm in a place that I can move on. I'm in a place where I can get my own place. It might not be the place I want to live with forever, but I can get there. I can be there. I can do this. Think about it. What is holding you back from finally looking at your life with independence? What is holding you back from finally taking the reins of your own life and saying, screw this. I don't want to do this anymore. Okay, I'm not doing this dance with you anymore. I'm not playing this game with you anymore. I'm not going to do it. And that's where I want everybody that's listening to this podcast, if it's you in this relationship where, those fears have taken over, I need you to start backing off from the drugs and alcohol. And some of you are going to have to do it overnight, okay? Because the other person in this toxic relationship is not going to be happy when you get sober because they know once sobriety hits for you, you're not going to be in this anymore. You're going to see it for what it really is. You're going to see the toxicity. You're going to see the games that are being played. You're not going to be able to lie to yourself anymore. You're not going to believe the future faking anymore. Okay? Like, future faking only continues when you are drinking or drugging. Future faking, because eventually you look at it and you go, hey, you've been saying that for 4 years and nothing's come to pass. And I'm holding on with bated breath over here, hoping that this is going to come to pass, and it hasn't. And guess what? You know what? It's never going to happen. That dream that they sold you a long time ago, it isn't going to happen. You have to let that go. And the only way you can let that go is living in clarity. Living in reality, living in sobriety. That is the only way to let it go. Okay? And I understand, because I've been there where you're dealing with all this stuff in your life and you're really sad and people aren't being totally honest with you or transparent with you, and you're getting sad about it. And so you go have a glass of wine or you go have a drink, and then you get sadder about it and you have another glass of wine or you have another drink. And that doesn't work because it makes things bad. Right? You get super emotional and you're not seeing things clearly when you need to be seeing, hey, okay, let's look at the track record. Let's look at the profit loss. Okay, this person's been saying this for how long, and it's never come to fruition. It's never once happened. It's never once happened. So when is it ever going to happen? Okay, that's the key. And if you can pull back from the alcohol and drugs every time that person brings that up, because they bring it up to pull you back in. Oh, it looks like somebody's starting to get wind that I am really not who I say I am, or the mask is coming off. They might be seeing it, or they seem to not be falling under my spell, because narcissists create this spell where you feel like you're under some sort of witch's spell. And I believe that that's part of it. It's a sinister type thing. It's sorcery. But it can only be aided and abetted by alcohol and drugs and sex. Okay, if you stop having sex with them, because they're not having sex because they love you. They're having sex to manipulate you. They don't really want sex. That's not what they want. They use sex to get your money, to get you to help them, and to pull you in and snare you back in. That is the key. Okay, that's the key. That's the key to the whole deal. It's the key to the kingdom. As long as you realize that every time you have sex, you're giving them your power. Basically, that's what's happening. Okay. And that's why, they have sex with you when there's an argument. They have sex with you, when there's drugs around, oh, well, I'll do all these things when this stuff's here, and they program you. And so you start providing all this stuff because you want this. But see, the thing is, you'll have sex, but then right after that, you go right back into the messed up toxic soup that is this relationship. And so if you can pull back from the alcohol and drugs too, you can also pull back from the sex, because you start seeing through the sex. I'm just giving you the tools. I'm giving you the glasses, the honesty glasses, the truth glasses, the anti-toxicity glasses that you need. And those glasses are called sobriety. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you can't ever have a glass of wine. Okay. Ever. No, that's not what I'm saying. But if you're going to do it in a joyful thing. Do it in a celebration. Do it in a happy time. Do it when things are working out in your life. Eliminate it when things are not working. Remember, it's all about how we feel, and it's all about what's happening. And the only thing that we have to, to safeguard ourselves is to see the truth. When we don't accept the truth and we're living in a lie, and we're allowing someone else's lie to basically make up our life, we're no longer living in our reality anymore. We've taken a back seat. So if you're in a relationship, and I need you to hear me. If you're in a relationship and you've been buying into future faking, and you've been buying into a narrative that this other person has told you, oh, this is going to be our life, and we're going to do this and that and this and that. And we're going to have babies, or I'm going to be this, big time lawyer, or I'm going to do this or that, or this or that. And you're buying into that whole thing, and you're thinking about being married to this big time lawyer, or you're thinking about having all these babies or whatever it is. But none of that's come to fruition. None of it's come to fruition. She's never gotten off the pill and not planning on it. We haven't even finished law school or even gone to law school. You see what I'm saying? Like, all these things are a problematic situation. And you also have to look at people, even if they have their ducks in a row with certain things, is this the person you want to have babies with? Even if they have gone to law school, do you really, is it the person? Is this the person you really love? Or is it just the idea of being married to this high-powered lawyer, right? And I want you to think about that. Because one, they're not a high-powered lawyer yet. Two, you got all this other stuff going on. And three, you're buying into this future faking. And four, let's just say it does happen. Is this really the love of your life? Or is this just a narrative that you're buying into? I'm going to have this power or this wealth. And I do need you to sit back because remember, alcohol and drugs color things in a way that is kind of insidious, right? It colors things in a way that, you think about it. You've had alcohol where you're at a party and you're hanging out, you drink too much, and you feel like all these people are your best friends. They don't even know you. They don't even know you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can have drugs and you can take drugs and you can hang out. You can hang out with people and take a bunch of drugs and think that they're my best friend. Oh my God, this is my best friend. No, they don't. They are not your best friend. Okay? And so drugs and alcohol can make us believe things that are not true. Drugs and alcohol can make us believe things that are inaccurate. And that's where I want you to think about is if you can step back from having that in your life, you can see through the narratives, you can see through the manipulation, you can call out the gaslighting. You don't have to question yourself anymore because you can see it for what it is. And that's something that I'm personally doing. I don't talk about things that I'm not currently doing and I'm not doing. Sobriety is key. This is key to your happiness. It is key to solving your issues. It is key to seeing your truth. And the more that you can get there and the more you can work to get there, it shows your body that you care. It brings more self-esteem to you. It makes you feel better about yourself because you're doing something good for yourself. And guess what? You're finally realizing kind of, the situation that's over you. It's like apartheid. You're like being pushed down and beaten down by the alcohol and drugs. And you're also buying into the false reality that this other person is telling you, or you're buying more into your false reality, believing, oh, I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life, or I'm never going to have somebody. Drink. Oh, I'm going to be so alone. I better hold on to this person for dear life because I'm not going to have anybody. Drink, smoke some weed, whatever, and keep affirming that horrible negative narrative that's not true. Anybody can find anybody. You'll find somebody. Don't worry about it. But you're not going to find somebody if you're tangled up in a major toxic relationship doing a bunch of drugs and alcohol. First off, you're tangled up. You got no time because you're too busy dealing with the toxicity. Two, anybody that's healthy is going to see this shit and they're going to see it as a shit show that it is. And they're going to run if they're healthy because they don't want to deal with drugs and alcohol addiction. Okay, they're going to run. They're going to see you. They're going to love you. They're going to care about you. But this is a big red flag, okay? And so you're already dealing with the toxicity of the current relationship, right? And so you don't have a lot of bandwidth. Two, you're already like in PTSD mode. And three, you're on drugs and alcohol. Not a good combination. And so the only way to really move on is to first let go of the drugs and alcohol, right? This is step one. Two, get sober for a while. Three, see your spouse, significant other as who they really are. 4, eliminate the future faking and see them as not being honest with you. 5, stop buying into the narrative. 6, start seeing your value. Start putting out there. Start seeing your value. Start working on yourself. 7, start building up your self-esteem. 8, realize there is somebody for everybody. And 9, start building up yourself, seeing your own self-worth. And when you're clear-headed, you can move on with grace and ease. Right? This is the key. I hope that this has helped you. Please share this with anybody going through this because if they're going through it, they're going through a very tough time in their life. They're missing themselves. They're lost themselves, right? And they're in a situation that the quicker they can get out of it, the quicker they can find themselves, the quicker they can actually find truth, honesty, and unconditional love away from the circus and addiction. Check out the YouTube channel. Go to Life Coach Ashley Burgess. Check out the channel. If you can, please subscribe. New video content up at least twice a week. If you'd like to work with me, go to ashleyburgess.com. Go to the coaching page and just click on it and set up a time right there. I look forward to working with you. I look forward to meeting with you. And in the meantime, thank you for tuning into the podcast. And you've heard another live episode of the Ashley Burgess Podcast. Stick with me. I'll see you next week. Have a great afternoon. Don't forget to live your true life.